Hi, in today's video we're going to be taking a look at Emacs, Eglot and the language server protocol, which is a protocol used between an IDE and a language server that provides language features like autocomplete, go to definition, all that sort of good stuff. So what we're going to do is take a look at setting up Eglot, which is a LSP client that can connect to the language server and provide auto-completion, lookups, all that kind of stuff. And we'll go through a couple of different language servers and how to set them up on Debian and nixos. So first of all, we've got the Eglot package, which is actually built into Emacs. There are other LSP clients that are more full-featured. I forget what the name of it is. A quick search, Emacs LSP. LSP mode, is it? I had issues trying to get it to work with Podman containers running language servers, so I gave up on the Podman idea and just installed the language servers using nixos or manually on Debian. So what I'll go through is the couple of language servers are set up and what you need to actually get installed, and then how you configure Emacs to connect to the language server to provide auto-completion. So on nixos, what I did was install 4 packages with my home manager, which are shell check minimal. Shell check is used by some of the language servers provide error checking, all that kind of stuff. I think there's also fly check can be used as well. But these are the 3 servers that are set up: the Bash language server, the python-lsp-server, and the nixd server. And these are language servers for Bash, Python, and the Nix language. So on Debian, install those same 3 packages. What I actually had to do, well, actually on Debian I only installed Python and Bash. So the Python 3 py-lsp server is actually in the repositories, so you can install the Python language server using the package manager. So you do that by running sudo or doas apt install python 3-py-lsp. For the Bash language server, what we need to do is actually install Node.js and npm, and this is quite common for a lot of the language servers as an installation method. So what we do is run sudo or doas apt install Node.js npm, and then after that what we can do is run sudo or doas npm i-g bash-language-server, and that will install the Bash language server. So that's the first thing, is actually installing the different language servers. And if you come to the Eglot page, you'll see there are a load of different language servers here. Docker files, Markdown, PHP, let's have a look at that, see if that's how you install that one. Yeah, I thought it might be, using a similar setup as the other ones, but if you have a look through all these language servers, they all have different installation methods using either the built-in package manager or pip or npm or some other tool. So what we want to do is actually have a look at the init.el that we need to actually get all of this functionality set up. So there's a couple of packages that we're going to install, and I'm using use package. If you're not using use package, you're going to need to adjust the syntax for your setup. But we have Yaz snippet, which enables snippets. So Yaz global mode 1 config Yaz reload all. Okay, and what we've also got here is Yaz completion at point function. So this is Yaz snippet cap. Get what some of these are for. So what we've got here is Corfu. Enable Corfu globally. Also completion time, so the time for the pop-up to appear. And the other thing is I bound the auto completion key to control period, which is actually by default used by evil mode for something or other which I wasn't using. So what I had to do was run with eval after load comma evil, and then define key evil normal state map xbd. Then you can see here we've got control period, and for each of these we've got completion at point. So we've got this normal insert visual and motion, and we've overridden the evil key binding, and we've got the key map set down here as well. We've then got cape, which is another completion framework. So what we've got here is under the config, we've got add to list completion at point functions. Cape D, it sounds for like D abbreviation, file and keyword. And finally down here we've got Eglot. So right, so all these different language servers actually get started by the Eglot package. So what you have is the client Emacs starting the servers, the language server, when you open a particular kind of text file. So when you open a Python file, Eglot is going to recognize it's a Python file and that you've got a Python server set up. So it will start the language server automatically for you. The only case where it doesn't is when I'm using shell scripts with bash mode. So what we have here is the place in the config where you actually define the servers that you're going to connect to. So we do that by running add to list Eglot server program. You can see here we've got nix mode and then nixd. So what this is you have a particular mode that is tied to a particular server. So when you open a file, a Python file, you're in Python mode. If you open a shell script, it's in sh mode, or whatever the language may be, it's got an associated mode. So what you're doing is you're mapping the mode to the server that it should use for that. So when you open a nix file, it's going to automatically start up the nixd language server. Same thing for sh mode. So what I have is I wrote all my shell scripts as shell scripts with a bin sh as opposed to bin bash. I don't think actually which bash. Yeah, because I'm on nixos. You don't have a bin bash. You have a bin sh. Right. So what this does basically is define the Eglot server program sh mode, and then it's going to. So why have I got that there? So there's slightly different. I've got start here where I haven't in the other one. I'm not sure why. So that's the bash language server. Then we've got the LSP server. So this is the Python server. So again, we've got Python mode is mapped to the py-lsp server. And then what we've got down here is some add hooks. So this is to automatically start Eglot when opening a relevant file. So nix mode hook, Eglot ensure, sh mode hook, Eglot ensure, Python mode hook, Eglot ensure. So if I open a nix file, what you'll see down here is these extra icons in the mini buffer, and I'll click those. It's fly make. I think, as I said, you can use shell check, but I think it uses, it's not fly check, it's fly make, do the sort of highlighting of errors and things like that. So this is sort of nix mode running the server. I'm not going to sort of, so basically you get little pop-ups, and if you press Control period, it's going to cycle. Hang on. So if I want to auto-complete that, Control period, it will auto-complete that. So that's nix mode. Haven't really played around with this too much, so let's have a look. WhisperX. So this is Python, and as you can see down here, the server has been started because this is only shown when Eglot mode. Eglot has started up a server for a particular mode. So as you saw in the config, we have Python. So Python mode. So you can see we're in Python here, and we have this little pop-up indicating that FlyMake is running and Eglot is connected to the Python server. And as I sort of go through this, you should get sort of like little pop-ups. You can see in the mini buffer. As I haven't really played around with the actual completions that much. I've only just kind of got it all installed because, as I said, there's several parts to it. You've got to set up the servers, and then you've got to set up Emacs to work with the servers and provide the auto-completion. If I run Eglot, so these are some of the different things you have, like menu format, rename, shutdown, reconnect, server menu. And I haven't gone through any of these. Okay. So let me have a look at a bash script, shell script rather. Okay. What you'll see here is, again, this is actually, it's saying bash. Okay. But it's a shell script, and the reason for that is you can use tree sitter. Tree sitter explore, is it? Okay. Yeah. So you can use tree sitter with shell scripts, but the issue is there's only a tree sitter mode for bash and not for shell scripts that have a bin.sh shebang. So bash and shell scripts are similar enough that you can actually use this. So what I've done is actually remapped shell scripts to use tree sitter bash syntax highlighting. So that's why it's saying bash down here, but it's actually a shell script. So I just wanted to point that out. But let me just copy this let me just copy one to the desktop actually, so I can edit it. Okay. Do I get any sort of let's add an extra. Okay, you can see now we're getting these prompt specified why, but it's not handled by this case. So you can see instantly we're sort of getting errors. As I said, I've got shell check minimal installed on nixos as opposed to the shell check, because I think shell check's actually a Haskell application, and it brings in a lot of dependencies. So let's correct this error. So if I do y, should be able to just do that. No, yeah. Colon is like use a colon in a if statement, like if something else. It's kind of blank. It's sort of just like a placeholder. So that's why that we got rid of that error. So let's we've got some variables here. If do I get auto completions here? So if I press Control period, you'll see you get a pop up. Okay, sorry, back to here. You get a pop up, and you can use the up and down keys to sort of navigate. Or if you start typing, you can then sort of auto-complete. It's just sorry if, or yeah, you get the idea. As you go along, you can get the sort of the pop-up. It doesn't work with orderless, so this isn't a good case because it's bringing up a lot of symbols, but it's not. I don't think it does. It is it using orderless? Yeah, maybe. It seemed to be actually. Okay, yeah. So what I mean by orderless is you can see here I'm typing. I want to select ELF, ELIF, and you can see I've typed EIF, and it's highlighted those in blue. So what orderless does is it allows you to type stuff that's not strictly in the order of the text and have it selected. So because EIF is in ELIF, it selected it. So EF. Okay, and if I tab, it will auto-complete to that. So I think that's using orderless. And let me just... okay, so the other completion applications I've got installed are Vertigo. So we've got... can't remember what most of this does. We've got Vertigo, we've got Marginalia, Consult, and Orderless, okay, Orderless Basic, and Embark, as well as where are these? Eglot. Yeah, as well as these other completion frameworks, as well as sort of Yaz Snippet, Corfu, Cape. So the sort of advantage. Let me just double click that and get out. The other nice thing about the completion frameworks, once you've got them set up for the language server protocol, to provide syntax highlighting, that sort of thing, is it comes in handy when you're just doing things like writing org documents. So startup, so you can see I'm getting completion. I can just type tab, content, tab. So yeah, you get some syntax or some completion with things like org mode as well once you've installed a lot of these packages. So that's how you can set up language server. So there's a lot listed down here. Bash C. I was just trying to think if there's anything more interesting. Oh, there's HTML. Okay, so updated about a year ago. Yeah, so again, this is installed with npm. Yeah, a lot of them seem to be installed with npm. Seeing if there's another one. Text latex. Let's have a look at that one. So Emacs has really good latex support for actually drafting stuff in Emacs as latex files, and then using what you use is Pandoc and stuff like that to actually convert those into PDFs. You can directly export LaTeX to PDFs from Emacs without using the command line, but having a look at this, I was just wondering if this was yeah, so this is Lua Rocks. So the kind of issue that I came across actually getting a lot of these language server protocols set up is they all have different installation methods. So you need to have, Node or Python or whatever installed. And I did look at LSP mode, I think it is. So I think this is the one, and you can supposedly use this with Docker, like so you'd actually have the language servers in Docker containers or Podman containers to make it easier to install everything. But I just couldn't get the Podman containers to start using Emacs. So the issue is what you have to do is have Emacs set up to actually start a language server, and you kind of run into issues sometimes, at least I did, trying to start up Docker or Podman containers running the language server. So you may, if you want to install all these different languages, it would be ideal to do it with Docker or Podman, so you've got different container for each language server. But I just had issues getting it to work, and it may be because I'm running nixos, and there may have been issues interacting between Emacs and Podman. But I just wanted to mention that there's a different way that you can actually get this set up. You can install the packages manually using pip, npm, or whatever it is, or you could try and find there are some Podman or Docker language servers available, but I just couldn't get them to work. But I'll put links to all this under the video, and so I hope that helps you get Eglot and LSP servers set up so that you can have language servers for different languages. So whenever you've got a particular document open, like Python, it's going to map Python mode to the python-lsp-server, set up the connection, and provide syntax highlighting, error checking, all that kind of stuff. And this is basically the section where you configure Eglot to create a list of LSP servers. I could have probably put this in one list as opposed to separate ones, but it just makes it easier to copy each one separately, I guess. So you can, if you just want to add one of these, you just copy the Python mode. Just make sure to install these. As I said, I only installed Python and the Bash language server on Debian because those are only the ones that I'd sort of really use. But as I said, you can find lots of other ones. But the issue is, you're going to be installing all these different things with npm or whatever. Don't know if there's going to be any issues with sort of conflicts or anything like that. So using Podman or Docker would be ideal. But I just couldn't get that working. So this is how you do it sort of manually either using the package in the repository or using something like npm to install the server. So that's all for now. I'll put links to all this under the video and catch you on the next one.